Going live with the LAN party. Clear my throat, get this rolling, turn my phone off. My phone is still on. My phone won't stop ringing. Nothing good. Nothing bad, but nothing good. There we go. That's off now. I can just look over and see it. So welcome. Welcome to Vlog Thursday, episode 148, Unbound, CVE 2019-18934, and Firewall and Business Talk. I don't know where I should start. I'm not always ever sure where I should start. But if I lay a bunch of things out in front of me, at least it'll have some talking points we can start talking about. Everyone loves this, including me. And so I don't know that this needs its own review. This is a company called RackMountIt. And we'll pull up their website because while we're waiting for more people to join us, this is just a why not topic. So RackMountIt. And let me grab the switcher, get it close to me. There we go. RackMountIt. The most confusing thing is when you go to their website and see this. I'm like, it starts with a restaurant. I mean, I think their animation's cool, but I'm like, okay. But their product is neat. Let me show their products over here. Industrial 40 rack, BC rack. Which one is this one? This is EAN RMSRT1. So let's find it. RMCIT1, SRT1. Where's the SRs? See if we can find it. FR, PA, SWs, WG. They don't seem to make this one anymore. But they make similar ones that'll work. This is, they're just cutouts for this. As a matter of fact, this one doesn't even actually fit this. This is an SG5100. I can tilt it up a little. We had to drill the screw holes out just a little bit. And we didn't actually buy this. This came out of a client. They're like, here, take all this crap. And we're like, well, we will gladly take your crap. And that is the crap we took from them. So we're just going to use it because we're redoing and changing out the firewall at our office to be this one right here. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's a nice rack mount, and these are just your standard, I say standard, not that they're really standard, but they're keystones that have RJ45 on both sides. They're really a pain in the butt to get out. So yeah, that's not coming out. Not right now. Makes me wonder if they put these in before they snap it. Anyways, but they're Keystone RJ45, so what it does is allows you to keep it nice and clean by having all the other RJ45 ends come in on the back of the Keystone, so they can go back through the rack and be loomed this way, and then you can cross things over this way. I don't know, pretty novel, but I had it in a video and like everyone kept asking about it, so. Do I have a UPS connected to XCP-NG? It depends. Not at our office, no. So I don't know if that's helpful or not. Hello from Germany. Hey, from Germany. I was just featured, not that I know it's not Germany, but it's your neighbors, in an Austrian online news site. They featured my VPN video, which I thought was kind of cool. Someone tagged me on it on Twitter. That's novel. And someone said it was a prominent Austrian news site. So I'm like, cool. So at least I have some recognition over in the area by where Germany is. And they've not been featured, to my knowledge, inside of any German magazines. Greetings from Switzerland. More European friends. Switzerland and Norway, Germany. We're slowly covering the EU over there. Very cool. I've already applied the mitigations for Unbound in Pfsense. Grayson, there is good news for you. You do not need to apply mitigations in Unbound and Pfsense. Because, and let's go, let me find the tweet, because that's important. I believe I retweeted this. So let's find this. There we go. This is the official statement from our friends over at Pfsense. We do not use the Unbound IPsec module, so it is a non-issue for Pfsense. Now, they don't use it, but The default config for many Linux distributions, by the way, is to use it. And this is one of the things that makes security a little bit tougher sometimes to figure out if there's a flaw in a product. Does it affect the product you use, in this case Pfsense? This is why I had to reach out to the development team there to confirm that they didn't use that feature. And because it's not exposed, it's also an obscure feature. It's one of those things that no one's really using right now, so it's kind of out there. It's we're actually, let me bring that up. So let me actually find my tweet on this. Oh, I should have just left this over on the screen. So let's walk through what the vulnerability actually is. So this is over at the Unbound people. We take security very seriously, and if you have a security issue in Unbound, please contact us, blah, blah, blah. So let's go down to the actual vulnerability and what conditions need to be met in order to make this work. Due to unsanitized characters passed through the IPsec hook shell command, it is possible for Unbound to allow shellcode execution from a specially crafted IPsec key answer. So there's a little bit more. Here's the actual conditions. The issue can only be triggered when all the below conditions are met. Unbound was compiled with -- enabled IPsec support. Very few people are using this because this is IPsec is IPsec keying for DNS. I'm not super well versed on it because it's been around for a little while, but it's just not in widespread use. So I'm not extremely familiar, but it's matter of fact, I tried doing some digs on some sites trying to find the key to see what sites were verified by it. It doesn't seem like I can find much information. Like it's vague. You can't even find forum posts about this extra thing. So it has to be enabled, which apparently in a lot of Linux distributions, as I understand it, is a domain part of the IPsec whitelist. If the whitelisting is used, and Unbound receives an A/AAA record or query for a domain that has records that has an IPsec record available. So it has to be someone maliciously who owns a domain, who took the trouble of setting it up and having Unbound actually query that, as in you went to that domain. IPsec is enabled, so it's trying that first. It's trying like the highest level of security. If it doesn't have it, it rolls back to the other ones. But in that rollback, if it was to query it with that IPsec mod, it would then come back with that information and possibly execute a shell command based on it. It's still an interesting attack because it doesn't require any ports to be open. It's actually Unbound reaching out and grabbing and then not parsing properly the information that was grabbed. But because Unbound is integrated into so many products that you run on Linux or FreeBSD, either way, it seems like it could be an interesting edge attack by companies, or nefarious websites. Instead of getting you to click on a phishing link, they just get you to click on the website to resolve it. And this goes a step further because many tools that sandbox data, one of the things they do, even if they do through a sandboxing system, like the Firewall, is going out and trying to resolve it. So it's not even a workstation level attack. It's generally going to be aimed at firewalls, and Unbound's running with all the other things that are running inside the firewall. So it's interesting whether or not that would be a attack. And lo and behold, our folks at Pfsense were not even using that feature. So they kind of probably took the attitude of no one's using this, so we don't build it in. And they are correct. You are not lesser by not having that. Matter of fact, you are less at risk. So that's the whole summary of that. I thought it was pretty neat just to go through and look at what happened and think about the ramifications of it. And the way that the fact that you can still mitigate it inside of Pfsense if they were using it, you would be able to pass the parameter to disable that feature pretty simply. Yeah, it just doesn't, in Grayson, just, it doesn't do, the switch is irrelevant because it's already turned off. So it doesn't unharden it. It also doesn't harden it because the switch is turned off. Oh, let's see. Mail Cow email server? I have never heard of it. There's someone posting, I think, in my forums that are talking about how, getting off blacklists. We just did some consulting with someone about that too, and I'm like, there's nothing you can do. Good luck getting off Google's blacklist. Somehow someone sent a bunch of emails from their domain, they cleaned it up and fixed the spam, but now they're blacklisted by Google, and because they're their own email hosting, it's hard to get unblacklisted from Google. So I'm like, welcome to why myself, who was a mail administrator, who is very familiar with things like SendMail, Postfix, setting up Dovecot, and built mail servers for a number of years, gave up on doing so. I said, I threw in the towel and decided the email war is over and Google and Microsoft have won it. So that's why I always push people, our clients especially, either use Google or Microsoft. You take your pick. We chose Google for our back end. You know, everyone wants to run their own mail server. Good luck dealing with the headache of emails not going through. Is it just me? This Netgate device looks like the Linksys. It's just mounted in a cool chassis, and the chassis is blue, which actually makes me happy. Cool, you watched my video about UDM. Cool. So the endpoint scanner to UDM uses Nmap and reports that are open. Marcus, that's very interesting, and thank you. Also, do you have any documentation you can link to me? I mean, I think it's that's a cool feature. I think it should be talked about more. I would love to, reference some documentation, like how often does it run Nmap? What is it just doing a quick scan and looking for common ports? Does it, once you whitelist something on a common port, does it then only flag new ports that are found on that same system? It would be pretty cool. I think it's a neat feature. It was also an unexpected feature of this device. I did not expect to find that in the UDM. Also, someone commented I keep touching this. I don't know. This is that soft plastic. It's not that high impact plastic. This has texture and it feels nice and it's warm, not hot. My fingers were cold this morning because I got here early. It's cold. We're in Michigan. And putting my hands on it like this warms my fingers. This is like, it's a nice feeling. So yes, I do touch this a lot for those of you that watch my video because I don't know, it's kind of entertaining. And it's just a neat design. I don't know. It's just, it's really cool. Anyways, how's my Tesla going? So cool. Oh, Honeypot was developed by Ubiquity and at this time only shows as someone scanned. That's cool too. It looked like it was just a basic listening and notification. But that's, you know what, honestly, I think it's cool. I mean, there's a couple of companies that make, I'm trying to remember the name of them. There's some companies that make some really advanced honeypot. Canary.io, I think, is one of them. I've heard of it advertised before. I've actually listened to an interview with the CEO and founder of Canary. Like, they do some really cool deception. And I've also talked with companies that make deception technology. So it's like honeypot plus deception, which is all cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. Those are neat. But those are also starting at like $10,000 on up on contract for any of those devices. But just a basic listening device that alerts you if someone scanned, and someone shouldn't be scanning your network. That's basic forward thinking. So definitely I like that. Nice. Thank you, Marcus. That completely makes sense. This malware spanning on air. I agree. That's pretty cool. Unexpected feature, and wasn't, like I said, did I know? I don't think it's any of the, I know it's listed as a beta feature, but I don't think it's any official documentation I've seen. And feel free to post a link if I'm wrong. Let's see. Let me message my wife back saying yes. All right. It's alpha, actually. Okay. So you're right. It's not beta. It does say something about that. Either way, cool feature. I'm glad it's in there. Definitely like that. Someone said, how's my Tesla going? So it's 5% faster. It has more range. And let's see. Oh, in this meme, for all my friends that are car enthusiasts, I spent $500 to get 25 horsepower, and I just did a software update. That's what I think about the Tesla. That's been my favorite meme about the latest update from the Tesla. And here's another. That's what it looks like right now. So if you're wondering, that's the wrap that's on it. I got all the wrap videos, like the time lapses of them doing the wrap. So I'm gonna have, if I got time this Saturday, I will be doing a review video of it. Plus, I'm working on a more in-depth review video of the Tesla. And I think here, I can show this. This is the traction control. This is like this is on ice, and my wife basically floors it. and the traction control is amazing on it. So this is just a clip of some of the videos. So I'm not going to dive too deep into Tesla, but yeah, I want to do an in-depth review because I spent so much more time with it. So there's going to be a lot more to talk about with it. Because I'm going to first, I'll do a video about everything it does now that it didn't do when I bought it. There's a whole list of features that came with the car now that just didn't exist. Like opening the windows by my phone in an app and things like that, etc. So it does more now than it did when I got it. It's faster than when I bought it, which is kind of strange because that was just a firmware update. So I'm going to dive in depth and do a couple Tesla videos that are going to be a lot deeper. And I'm going to do a separate video just for the wrap. So how they put it on, what it's like. And I actually already did all the drone footage like back when it was nice out. Now it's snowy and crappy out. So let's see. Thanks for the content. How do you do web filtering? Several profiles, example, or monitor only, or all block VIP. We do web filtering on a per client machine basis with SolarWinds. So, Ubiquity Amplify Alien. I seen it. People are asking about it. So the wonderful people at UniFi, they send me things. Thank you, but they don't tell me when they're going to send things. They've never sent me an amplifier or a consumer product. They did send me this. They have sent APs and other devices before. It's random. I don't know when they're going to send something. It's a surprise in the mail. We enjoy it, and thank you for those surprises. But for those of you asking like when I'm going to do a review, I don't know if I'm going to review. I want to, I guess, but I'd have to go out and purchase it to review it. And then I have to use it. See, this was easy to review, even though this is like probably not something I would necessarily. I might use at home. I don't know, but it does have a use case because I like the UniFi platform, and this is something easily, especially with friends and family, to install. And I mentioned that even like someone who doesn't want to be on our controller or pay the management fees for us to manage your Wi-Fi. This is kind of a cool turnkey solution. We actually, I think one of these is on a bid sheet now for a salon that has like 4 seats in it, like 4. It's a small salon, like not much bigger than my whole studio here. They just want Wi-Fi for their guests. This is the perfect little solution for that. The Alien one, I don't know where it fits in between some of those. I've never looked at the Amplify product. I know it's kind of consumer facing, but it might be an interesting product to take a look at. So I don't know. If they send me one, I'll review it. So. Marcus, about DNS filtering. Security filtering, malicious domains, blocked phishing malware. Yes. Adult filtering, safe mode, security filter, family filter, VPN, mixed content. Cool. It does have the DNS filtering, but does not have, it doesn't have a lot of fine-grained control. But they have it, and then again, I like fine-grained control because I'm a network engineer. End users want to check a box, or people, even general users, I can't even say just end users, even some general users, if their skill set, even I have a friend who's got a programming company. They like the fact that their firewall's a set it and forget it because they don't want to manage it. They are like, we develop software. They develop very big software for big companies, and they don't like to think the firewalls and things like that is not their interest or forte. So having it simple is not a bad thing for those people. It all depends on what you want. Let's see. What else? Oh, but how much more fun is it without the traction control? You can't, on the Model 3 Tesla, back to the Tesla, you can't turn off traction control unless you have the performance model. The non-performance model does not have a traction control off button that I'm aware of, and I don't know if they're going to add it. Obviously, that's something that's just a software feature, but I can't turn off traction control. Oh, near future, they're going to have a blacklist and whitelist for the DNS. That's a cool feature. You know, in Marcus, I don't know if this is within your power to do so, but if they had those feed supports, like for standard DNS blacklisting, like a whole where you can put a URL feed in there, that might be a cool feature to add too. Let's see. How much do I charge for managing Wi-Fi? It kind of depends on the client and what level of management they need. It's rarely done outside of our MSP platform, though. So generally, people who are managed Wi-Fi aren't just managing Wi-Fi. We're managing their whole network, their platform. So we just roll it in, and we purposely don't line item it, because if you start line iteming too many things, the customers will look for ways to nickel and dime the bill down. And some people say, well, you got to have the upsell here and upsell there. And I'm like, the opposite. I like to give them, this is what we will give you will manage your Wi-Fi, your network, your servers, your workstations, your antivirus, et cetera, all for one low fee of X dollars. Here you go. So that's generally how we handle it. So it's not really a broken out price for managing Wi-Fi, but I've seen a lot of people charging, for general like hosted Wi-Fi dashboard about $40, $50 a month to manage the dashboard for them. Because there's not much you have to do in it other than keep the dashboard up to date and push firmware updates. If those are the only two things you're doing, yeah, it's, $40, $50 a month, no big deal, provided they don't have too many of them where you got to spend more time doing firmware upgrades and things like that. So what are the Ubiquity Air Cubes for? They're part of the Air Cubes, part of the UNMS platform in there. So that's I haven't touched the Air Cubes in a while. I reviewed it a long time ago. As a matter of fact, one of my staff is still using it at home. He loves it. It works great. That's where it ended up. That's where some of the stuff ends up. Sometimes my staff takes it home. Not all the time. They get stuff. I need to give them more stuff. Who's adding DNS white blacklisting? For those who are just joining, that as Marcus talking about features currently in and features future going to be added for this UniFi Dream Machine right here. Just got your first UniFi today. Thank you, Joseph. Awesome. Can I enforce DNSSEC in Pfsense? You can turn on DNSSEC. I don't know about enforce. I guess that's a little bit. Let's see. For bigger UniFi video installs, what do you use on alternative software now that UniFi video is more or less discontinued? Synology. I don't see why not to use Synology. That's what we've been selling. Synology works. It's a solid product. That's what we moved to for the video. The cameras are very reasonable. There's lots of them. So, let's see. Let me reply to Brett. There. Sent him a text. He's out selling, so I know he's got questions. Actually, let me see what question he had real quick. I know. Trying to do a live stream while running a business. That's while the guy's in the middle of a sales call. So. Oop, my caps lock is on. Doing the live stream. There we go. He can read the text. He probably just wants to call and let me know he sold another sale, which is good. I'm okay with that as an answer. So, let me jump back over to the questions here, and what else are we going to cover? Let's see. When do you think UniFi will have Wi-Fi 6 that's here? I don't know. QNAP or on RAID? Neither. Let's see here. Can you content filter on VLANs? That's not with, well, not really. That's not how it's designed to work. That's why we focus on filtering the endpoints. To me, that's a smarter way to do it, but plenty of people seem to argue with me on that, and I'm fine with that. Go ahead and argue. Because everyone wants, it all depends on how you want to do it. Having individual workstation control like we have through SolarWinds makes it great for us. But people go, but I need to have, I want it all done at the firewall. I love installing SSL certs on every device and maintaining them, and having the firewall band in the middle of each of these things so it can do it. Cool, then do it that way. Then you're reliant on a firewall. And then they complain because they want a free firewall that does it. I'm like, no, there's not really any good free firewalls that have a good system for managing that. And there's been a lot of problems and breaking that comes with that side of doing it. We have much fewer problems doing it on the workstation level with SolarWinds. It's just easier. Now, there are some features on Untangle, if you pay their subscription, that will do some specialized filtering like that based on workstation. Okay, on the UniFi Dream Machine, the DNS filter will do DPI restrictions per LAN. So that's a cool feature. So UniFi videos being discontinued. I missed the announcement. I've done 3 videos on that topic. So if you go through my channel and look for UniFi video, recent videos, it's essentially a discontinued product unless UniFi changes their mind on that. How do I compensate salespeople? We're working on that. Commission, generally. There's commission schedules based on what they sell, but they have to sell it at margin. And that's an important aspect. You can't just have commission-based sales based on overall sale, because that's a challenge, because they'll keep lowering the price. And cool, now I got to pay a commission on someone who lowered the price to get the sale. So you have to work out, so you sell them on commission based on net profit from said sale is a better way to do it. So usually it's base plus commission is how the structure is right now for us. I say working on it because we're always looking, is there a better way to do it? But base salary plus commission is generally a good way to go with that. That way you can pay out quite a bit better. Yeah, SolarWinds Web Protection makes it really straightforward. Sure does. You can create a policy, apply it to a group of computers in different departments, and move that policy on an as-needed basis. It just makes life simple. Dynamic DNS against dual WAN USG4 Pro? I don't think so. I don't think that works. Deployed Access Companion on the command line. So let's read these questions together. I like the double look of this. Let's see. The power edge will work, but you also need to pass through HD. All right, got about 20 air cubes, but firmware was not up to date. Oh. The PER controllers on the lots of power edge don't have a JBOD mode. That's true. That's a mixed bag. You have to look up, if you're going with the PER controllers and doing that, of which ones have hard drive pass-through and which ones don't. So sometimes one of the other things to look at is like Supermicro with LSI controllers. That's one of my FreeNASs is built that way. It's a Supermicro with an LSI because it has full pass-through of everything, so that works well. I participated in Professor Messer's Security Plus group. Cool. Let's see. Oh, you're running the Pfsense. I'm sorry, you're running UniFi controller in a jail? Yeah, that's definitely an option for that. All right, what else were we going to talk about here? I think, what is my laptop plugged into? So let me find the IP addresses here. I just got to make sure I don't have anything open that would be bad. Because we're going to goof off with the firewall here, because I love goofing off with firewalls, right? So, 69.1. There we go. I just got to remember the password to this. Give me 1 second. And we're in. So, I don't know if I'm going to do a video on this or not. This is some exploring I was doing. This is an SG5100 with a bridge. And we named the bridge the Catwalk, but we bridged a couple of the ports on here together. Now, bridges are kind of interesting, and the reason for the bridging is because we were doing some testing with Suricata. And what Suricata can do is you see the bridge as an interface. So here's the Catwalk. Let me edit this. So one of the interfaces is called Catwalk. What does that mean? So let's go over here. I just named it Catwalk. That's part of it. But if we go interface assignments, there's the bridge called test bridge. So if you go over here, it's called test bridge. You go over to interface assignments, we assigned it. Now, a bridge doesn't need an IP address. And this is where it gets kind of cool. So you can take, and there's just these two ports, these two are bridged right now, opt1, opt2. And those bridges allow us to pass traffic without having an IP address. So it acts just like a switch. Why would you ever want to do that? Well, it's not a good idea to use Pfsense as a switch, for those of you who are just wondering about that. But it does have switching features. Actually, let me jump over here to the bridge. It does give you switching features. And let me edit this real quick. So when you bind these two together, And we have all the things. We can do spanning, edge port, auto edge port, P2P, auto PTP, sticky ports, private ports, RTSP or STP, so your spanning tree protocols right there, and all the little details. So it's basically turning it into a managed switch. But the purpose of this and what we were doing a demo for was using as Suricata. So without it having any actual IP addresses that are interacting, it's just passing the traffic. It's like a tap. And that tap then can sniff the traffic. It can apply. Now, the cool thing is, go a step further, rules can be applied to this switch. And then if you ever have to do some type of reconnaissance, let's say you think a network's hacked. And I've actually worked with, I've worked on this project with someone. We were trying to sniff some packets in a network. You don't want to disrupt the network, and you don't want the attackers to know you're there. So you don't want to introduce a new firewall because let's say they didn't have a firewall that had any type of monitoring or logging. You could build a Pfsense bridge, and without knowing or having any, matter of fact, without even knowing any of the IP information, let's say you go in front of the firewall. So between the internet provider and before it gets to the firewall, without any knowledge of any of the IP ranges, you tap it with a bridge. Now I can function by operating the Pfsense right here through a separate cable, so I have my own IP address into it, but then I have no IP addresses assigned to the bridge. And that allows me to start sniffing, looking for traffic, apply Suricata and IDS rules to it so I can start doing things, or even block things if I wanted to. So it can actually live in front of another firewall. So, like I said, I'm not sure how much I'm going to dive into it, but I'll probably do some type of video at least talking about it. It's kind of a fun advanced use case. It also has another advantage. You can not only see the packets, you can sniff them. You can do full packet captures of the bridge. So if I needed to grab that data from the bridge, I could do it. So kind of cool that it does all that. So it's some of these are almost like hobby things that I do as well. Like I just get an itch to scratch, or someone asks a question, I go, I wonder if we could do this. And next thing you know, I spend like 3 hours just this. I do some of this from home too. I'll just log in remotely. I build it out here in my lab. And eventually I do leave here occasionally. My wife says I live here, but I do leave. And when I leave, this is what I'll spend a couple hours doing. And it's a fun puzzle to solve or itch to scratch and things like that. I agree with client filtering. You should have a network set up by the book. By what book? That's always a question. Someone commented that Cisco is the book. And I also can comment for the things you can tell me that Cisco says should be in practice. We've seen Cisco do some horrific things when it comes to security. So does that make them more or less of an authority? Because they've made some horrible mistakes. Matter of fact, a former Cisco guy even told me they should just remove the word security from their product with some of the directions the company's taken. I don't know. It's a best practice. That's the problem with our industry. It's hard to figure out what best. I mean, there's some general guidelines of good practice and good security hygiene, but saying that everything has to be done a certain way is a hard thing to say because by the time you put it in writing, it can fall apart. Let's see. And a couple people threw money at me, so let me follow up with this. The UDM, according to the website, does 1 gig internet. Does YouTube give me a way to test streaming without going live? No, I don't think so. Mark DePinto, thank you. Free for your YouTube Premium rating. I love your channel. Think a lot and deserve it. Awesome. Thank you very much. And Mark DePinto again, another $5 donation, 2 of them. I wish actually they watched the video. Sorry, I just want to watch the archive later. In school now, but want to support your channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it as well. Awesome. It does help. It does help. It's a lot of work I put into YouTube. It's a labor of love. I love teaching people stuff. So, reminder to hit the like button. There we go. That's actually fair enough. There's 177 viewers, but only 22 likes. And George Moody, thank you for $5 for the How They Got Hacked fund. That helps us. We have not been able to monetize that channel yet. So, yeah. Yeah, bridge is useful in a WAN plus DMZ, separate LAN range. You can also use a bridge as a port mirror, so you could actually mirror something. And the reason you do that is because as powerful as Pfsense is, there are challenges, and sometimes you need something more advanced. Let's say Security Onion. Security Onion will allow you to take all the data, and you can bridge off of your WAN, for example, and push it into the security onion, and that could be your full IDS IPS stack, and then do a bunch of analysis on all the data for logging. So that's another reason you do bridges. Is it possible to block DHCP from one interface to another? Yeah, you can if you do it right. Thank you, Joseph, for the donation as well. $2 more. Awesome. Yeah, Cisco invented everything for every protocol. Yes, Cisco did a lot to innovate and push the market. There's no, yeah. I know. And you notice I barely talk about Cisco. One of my guys is Cisco guy, so does that help? I don't know. We fix it. Matter of fact, we were really upset. What do you call it? We were upset because somebody called us and they had to contract us to fix their Cisco problems after they had paid Cisco, and Cisco spent 2 hours trying to fix it. And I don't know. Sometimes IPsec tunnels are hard and VLANs are difficult, but if you have a Cisco guy who knows this has been doing it for a long time, they're quite talented. But I don't know if Cisco's their product offering as of late doesn't seem to be as good. So I can see what MAC address associated with device, and I can see. Okay. Well, let's see. What else we got? Try to jump to the other question. I see some people are stuck on a USG. Yeah. I wish the USG had more features. It's cool. My wife has no patience for all the YouTube stuff. Let's talk about Cisco licensing. You need like a degree to figure out the Cisco licensing, man. That stuff, it's so expensive. And I laugh because someone actually argued this, and I forget what the forum was in. They're like, oh, I can't do UniFi. They don't have advanced features like, what was that one? The Cisco DNA, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, did you see the price on Cisco DNA? That's like a $70,000 product in licensing fees. There was a whole discussion on a Reddit forum. If you type in like Cisco DNA, it's in the Cisco forum talking about just how overpriced of a product it was. And someone's saying, well, I can't deploy UniFi. They don't offer features like Cisco DNA. I'm like, what small business? Because this was a small business debate of, putting small Wi-Fi in for a company that needed like 3 devices. I'm like, what small business is spending money on Cisco DNA? Let me know. So, yeah, I don't know. What do I think about Extreme Networks? Haven't really used their product. It's like we see them when we're doing consulting gigs, but we don't always directly interact with it. So like it's there in their stack, but yeah. Any idea if I still need a Cloud Gen 2 or something for the G3 VidCam? You do. The G3 Cam integration, if you're using UniFi Protect, does need the Gen 2. That's the only thing it works on right now. Well, I guess it's going to work on other devices that may be in pre-release. No, Suricata, to my knowledge, does not support snort app detect rules. Oh yeah, their phone system license per device. We just swapped out a whole we swapped out a whole Cisco network phone system for a free PBX for a big company. They are thrilled. Like they were skeptical at the beginning because they were getting bids for new Cisco equipment, but they just said, "This is crazy. We can't believe that your price is this much different than Cisco's, like in a substantial way." And this is not uncommon. They just go, "Yeah, the Cisco licenses aren't high. They're really high. Their free PBX system with support was cheaper." And they always like, well, what's the wrong? Why are these quotes like not on the same plan in here? So free PBX with, especially when you move to your own SIP thing. We've only spent this year. We're using. You can get. I'm going to be a reseller for it soon. For those of you that care, but VoIP MS essentially, and our phone bill is so little. I mean, I think for the year, and we're on the phone a lot. I think we're at like $500 and we're almost into December. So for 11 months, what's that? Less than $50 a month. So I was just looking at our phone bill going, yeah, we don't spend much on phones. What What do I think of the state of VIOS? VIOS is awesome. If you want to be a network engineer and learn how to use it. I think that was actually asked on my last live stream. I've actually been reached out to by the VIOS people to do a review, and I just don't really have the time to learn it. I just don't use it. I know lots of people who use it who love it and tell me its praises. Awesome. It's a good network engineering tool. Awesome. But I'm not going to take the time to learn it. It's not something I'm deploying. It's all command line driven. There's no UI, so it has a higher learning curve. I like command line driven. I'm a Linux guy, but is there a use case where I think that's where I need to learn? Like, should I be a VIOS engineer and sell my services? I don't like doing things that I can't. There's all kinds of hobbies I have, but at some point, if I can't build a company that scales around that, as in I can't hire more people that are also VIOS engineers, that way if I do videos on it, referrals start coming in, I can't. It becomes a bunch of people asking me to support it, and I don't have time to. Not unless I hire more people to do it. It's just not likely. Do I have Discord because I don't like forums or toxic with all the forum dads? I have no idea what you're talking about because my forums are not toxic. I have forums because I will go in Discord about once a week. So yes, I have a Discord. Yes, I have a link to it. You can find it. Good luck. I'm in there about once a week, and I don't think everyone clamored for it. I had so many people ask me for it, and I get about one message a week in there. So. But I won't reply to DMs, sorry. I only reply on forums where things are public, so that's one of my policies. If you want to DM me, it's I have a rate for that. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way Cisco does a lot of things. It's definitely unusual compared to the way modern routers work. What I use for drawing maps? I've been using a couple different tools. DIA, that's one of them. It's open source. It's Linux. I don't draw a lot of maps. My time is spent. I spent more time in corporate drawing maps because it makes management happy, but it certainly isn't. Like, I document how things are connected with text files, and that seems to be adequate for other network engineers. I'll talk about graphs too. That's actually something that's worth laughing about. Because this is like the big #1 feature. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty. Actually, I got to hook up to it. How can I get into this? I'll move my thing over to here. There we go. We'll plug into the Dream Machine. Yeah. A fatal error because I couldn't connect. And once I get it connected, I'll pull this up. Statistics. There we go. People love graphs. This makes people so happy. And I don't know why. I don't get it. But I never look at stuff like this. In my day-to-day job, in the day-to-day job of what my technicians do, they do not find themselves staring at apps, users, and pretty graphs. But people go nuts about how they hate some firewalls because it doesn't have the pretty graphs. And they really want the pretty graphs. And I guess they're neat if they make you happy, but from a functional standpoint, it makes managers happy all the time that they have this. But it does not make a huge difference to me. But I just think it's funny how many people ask. This is built into UniFi, and a lot of people, the other common question seems to be like, hey, I want advanced features of like another firewall. Can I put it in front of the UniFi? I'm like, well, yeah. And why would you do that? They're, I want the pretty graphs. I really need them. And I'm like, okay. I guess I see that's like the most popular thing in home lab. It's one of those things that I feel is very consumer facing, or upper level management loves graphs. We were talking about that, and I was at a hacking conference last Friday. That hacking conference last Friday was, 1, a whole lot of fun. 2, we laughed about, I asked a security engineer at a big company, I'm like, so when's the last time you produced charts? He goes, every time management wants to talk about stuff, they like fire up the Kibana charts and everything else. I'm like, so in your day-to-day job at the NOC? He's like, no, my security research job doesn't require graphs. He goes, it's just something that makes managers happy. And happiness is what produces money for companies. Happy managers, right? Good forum. I moderate the forums so they're not toxic. Toxic people are blocked and may go away. Well, I dropped the ban hammer. So and they can go create another account and I can ban them again. Whatever. If you are an ass in my forums, you will get banned. It's pretty simple. Forums are hard work with constant spammers. I got tools for that. It flags all the spammers. I just check boxes and delete them. They do come in. That's how I know my forums are popular, because the spammers show up, but that's about it. Elk Stack. Yep, Elk Stack makes pretty graphs. Elk Stack, Graylog, etc., etc. Yeah, UniFi is pushing with the consumers. They know people want it. Sea levels love some Grafana. There we go. That's like a quote, man. Sea levels love Grafana. According to Dunkel Aura, according to their website, it routes 1 gig. I have not done. I mean, perfunctory basic tests. As far as I know, it works. I need to set up an IMIX test to dive deeper into it. But yeah. Please check UDM monitor span port capability. Oh, you mean on the UniFi? There's no spanning port on this. That's one thing about it. They did put a managed switch that supports VLANs in here. Let's jump over here. The Dream cylinder. Here's the switch. Let's go ahead and pull this up. There we go, and pop it out. There we go. Come on. When we go to the ports, we'll edit a port. That's it. You don't have the other features in there. So let's do this real quick. I'm going to log into something else. I just got to move the screen over to log into it. Jump back over here. The studio switch. So this is not the Dream Machine. This is actually the switch that's physically kind of just out of frame. And if you look here and we edit a port, you can see it has these extra features versus over here. Let's actually make them next to each other. So if we go over here, those features aren't there. So yes, it is a managed switch. It's just not a very advanced managed switch. And so here, of course, this is PoE. So there's the PoE option: switching, mirroring, aggregate, auto negotiation. So you definitely get more features on their other switches than you do on the Dream Machine. Once again, you're not comparing apples to apples either. This device is, that switch costs more than this entire device by double. So they're not exactly in the same price category. So hopefully that answers it. The only thing I grasp for stats is, at a glance, the 8% of my block traffic is coming from a single DigitalOcean IP sent an abuse email. Yes, it feels good to send an abuse email that is completely thrown into the bit bucket that is DigitalOcean. My understanding from talking to some of my cybersecurity friends is DigitalOcean will host anyone who's got money to host. And it will take an act of Azure of some other larger company to actually get them to stop attacking something that's on there. I've been told that. I have never had any direct experience with it, but I was told DigitalOcean, why there's so many attacks that come from DigitalOcean is because DigitalOcean's like, well, as long as they're paying their bill. That's what I've heard. I can't verify that outside of my security friends telling me this, but I thought it was funny. Do I assign them to IoT devices? Not really. The IoT network, I don't assign all the IP addresses. I only care about focused assignments when it comes to all the networks that I'm actively, that aren't IoT. IoT devices can come and go, and I just don't care. It's kind of like the BYOD devices. Bring your own device, that can go on that network. My network, I want everything assigned. I want everything organized IP. So at a glance, I know where all the IPs are. They're organized, and they're all easily findable. I do use Zabbix for firewall charts because if I'm looking at bandwidth issues and things like that, Zabbix is my go-to for that. So I do like that. Zabbix I do have charts in, but all they are is bandwidth charts. That's different. And I use, to get attack statistics, I've used Go Access to dig into when I see a lot of weird traffic from someone. And I'll use like Go Access to dig out, and it'll produce like summary charts with IP addresses on there. I've done a video on it before, and you can say, hey, that particular box is the one causing me some hassle. Oh yes, the pointless SolarWinds chart. SolarWinds has charts we don't use either. They have a whole charting system they built in, and it's just not great. I will admit the Huntress Labs one is actually pretty good. Huntress Labs is really the story of how it came to be. I'll maybe if Kyle has a chance, we'll talk about it sometime. But it was out of some really simple ideas, and that's one of the things about the whole Huntress Labs. Their whole dashboard for their product is super simple, and it's great. It's like one of those things that they just mocked up, and it was kind of like an idea scribbled out, and they're like, yeah, this is all we're doing with it. And because it's so simple, there's not a lot you have to read off of it. It's pretty and easy. Forwarding in the UniFi controller did not seem to work. I don't know what you're trying to forward. Oh, I'm catching up with all of the stuff here. How is IDS IPS on this compared to Snort? Well, they're using Suricata backend, and Suricata and Snort are really close neck and neck, other than someone pointed out earlier, yes, the application ID functions are not available inside of Suricata, but they are inside of Snort. But they're really, they're both pretty much the de facto IDS systems you're going to find. Suricata is popular because it was forked from Snort, but also offers a multi-threaded methodology of doing things. So it does things in a different manner and faster because of the multi-threading. So if you Google a comparison between them, there's someone who has some breakdown write-ups on that. I've never done one myself, but at least I know there's a couple write-ups on it, and maybe I'll do one sometime. But I'm not an authority on the internal workings. I know how they work. It's the internal detailed workings of them. So that's, yeah. Stuart, you're wondering what the white egg is? The egg is the UniFi Dream Machine. So rewind, you can hear all about it, or watch my 2 videos I've done on UniFi Dream Machine. Snort has multi-release it's threaded coming up. Yes, but it's been coming up for, I think, 2 years ago they announced it. So that's part of what's confusing is how long it's taken them to get there. So, yeah. I mean, you're making me touch it again. I really like touching this. So, and there's multi-thread. I don't think Cisco uses Snort. I don't know. Well, I guess they do. They own Snort. So that's probably why it's being tested there. Now I think about it, it probably is in there. That actually might make sense. I mean, if you want multi-threaded Snort, it's probably not necessary for most people, but it depends on your use case of whether or not you need that, and why not just use Suricata? You can pull the Snort. I'm using Suricata with the Snort feed. The only thing I'm missing is the application ID side of it. So. Does the Dream Machine have Wi-Fi 6? I don't think so. I don't know why people are so excited about Wi-Fi 6. I don't know what the excitement is. Who's even doing it? I don't even think it's all out there yet. Like, I think there's still problems with the standard, and they've already found flaws in it, so it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, Ubiquity does have it in their new Amplify Alien. I think consumers get excited about it, but for the other market, I don't think there's as big a push for it. William Daughtery, $20. Thank you very much for the donation. That is awesome and greatly appreciated. You know what else is appreciated? Smash that like button. Helps the YouTube algorithm drive our algorithm-driven life. So, yeah, there's all kinds of little details about Wi-Fi 6. I have not dug into it, but my understanding you have to be really close to it. And I don't see enough. I mean, in concept, in theory, yes, I know supports up to 9.6 gigs. But people aren't even fully taking advantage of the current Wi-Fi full AC Wave 2 MIMO that's available in these. Because there's so many interference factors that come in there with Wi-Fi. So it's all those lies, damn lies, and benchmarks. But it can go this fast. Yes, under perfect conditions with a single device connected so it doesn't spread out anything. Yes, you get it, and it checks the benchmark number that makes people happy. So I don't know. I'm not as worried. Anything that needs that high speed, because I need it guaranteed, I hardline in. My computer's connected at 10 gigs because I need it to edit video at high speed without me waiting to transfer files. And it's not like, well, it's 10 gigs, but then someone stood between you and the router and it went down to 1 gig. You know, that's not what I need there. So, let's see. Just get a Ubiquity exploit and point it on my drone. Hey, why not? Have a drone one there. Sales gimmick. Yeah, most consumer stuff can't even push 1 gig, so you're going to push 9.6 gig. Exactly. It's just not what I'm seeing here. That's a whole different thing. That's a whole different stuff. Yeah, Ethernet and fiber all the way. And thank you, Grayson, for throwing a few dollars at the channel. It is greatly appreciated. I do have probably about 10 or 15 more minutes. I'm going to message my wife here. Yes, I'm going at 5:30. There. I have an event I have to go to, so I have to... Rick Schneider. That's the mayor. That was our former governor. Oh, interesting. All right. What's your default set of modules for Pfsense? That's a fair question. Let's jump over to that. So let's plug into the Pfsense again. We'll switch to the other device here. I think it goes in right there. I want to do a video on this because some of this is changed. How they got hacked tomorrow? Yes. Yeah, texting wife to order pizza. No. Texting wife because she's going to a Chamber of Commerce event that's where I'm going next. Hey, thank you, Easy On, for all the great content. Yes, thank you very much. How they got hacked tomorrow? Absolutely. That's definitely happening. Let's talk about this and stuff and things. So we'll go over here to our package manager. What are the packages we should install? Well, first off, pretty much all the time when I install Pfsense, there's very, very frequently people want a VPN. So OpenVPN is exporter. That's definitely one of the things that's going to get loaded. Actually, where did I pass it? Right there. Client export utility. So there we go. That is definitely a package that gets installed. Now, obviously, probably goes without saying, and because I just did a video on this, this is pretty much a go-to all the time. Is going to be PF Blocker. We definitely want to get that installed. So that's going to be another package. The other one too is going to be Suricata, and the fun that comes with Suricata and tuning it, which is already installed. So Suricata is going to be on the list. Now, a couple that we don't always install, but it kind of depends. And ARPWatch is one of them. And ARPWatch is kind of a cool package because what ARPWatch will do for you, right here, ARPWatch. So this utility, once properly configured, can use ARP to watch a section of the network. And what that allows it to do is if something changes on the network, you instantly get an email. Now, this is very problematic if you tell it to watch the IoT network where things come and go. If you have a server network, like you've got a lockdown server network, well, such as I do, putting ARPWatch on that network is great because I will get a notice if there's anything that changes on there. So let me go back to install. I don't know why it failed. Confirm. There we go. Success. So here we go, the installed packages. So ARPWatch, if you're doing and want to monitor stuff, PF Blocker NG, Suricata, OpenVPN Export. There's a few others in here. If you're going to connect this to Zabbix, there's Someone said they were confused by this, and I probably should do a video on it at some point in time. You actually have a wide variety of Zabbix agents in here. Zabbix agent 4 is current. 422 would be the absolute most, or 4.4 now is the most current one. So it kind of depends on what you have on Zabbix on the back end. But Zabbix is reverse compatible. You can actually load the original old Zabbix agent and send it over. There's just different versions. Zabbix always supports their old agents. It doesn't drop them. But if you try to run 4.4, but you compiled or have Zabbix set up and it's only 4.2, well, now you're going to have a problem. But if you stick with 4, you know you're compatible even as you upgrade Zabbix, and you can change your mind later and add that. So that's it. Zabbix Proxy is kind of neat. Zabbix Proxy, same rules apply, but Zabbix Proxy proxies the connection. Let's say I have 30 devices behind this Pfsense. Then I load the Zabbix proxy on Pfsense. Now, instead of having 30 connections that pipe through the firewall to wherever my Zabbix server is, this can proxy the connection here, and then all the collection only has to happen once. So the 30 devices behind the Pfsense go to the Zabbix proxy, and the Zabbix proxy then hands off a single connection to my Zabbix server for data collection. So that's when we load Zabbix. And it's only if you're using, that monitoring. What else is in use here? I got my opinion on SquidGuard. I'm not a big fan. Softflow D is cool if you have something you need to push all your Softflow data to. This is an exporter for that. You can also push all of your logging out. There's an advanced setting in logging where you can just push out your logs. So that's an option as well. What else is in here? If you need a UPS attached to it. NTOP PNG is okay. I don't leave it running all the time. It's kind of big, but I'll sometimes install it, and that way it's already installed. Darkstat, that one's okay. iPerf, pretty cool. IFTop, pretty cool. I've covered both of those in previous videos. Cron. Cron is kind of cool to have in here because when we install it, it just opens up the ability without going to the command line. You can see all the cron jobs that are running without having to get to the command line of it. And I believe is it system? Is it under system? Is it cron? I forget where it puts it because I don't look at it very often. It's one of those, I look at it when it has to. Hold on, let me answer that question for someone. Willie asked a question, so I will reply. So Willie says, can I drop a phone number? Why not? I have to close this because I can't reveal people's phone numbers while I do this. So, yep. There we go. First to install Acme. Yeah, Acme's pretty cool too. So that's definitely pretty cool. Acme, if you're using that, HA Proxy, Acme, good tools if you're using them. So there's the general things I installed, but the other ones in there. I can't compare smart queues because I don't have the right iMix set up for smart queues for people asking me to do that. I can do iPerf, which isn't the same as iMix traffic. Look up iMix traffic and you'll understand. I need to set up something. I want to set up T-Rex, something that's actually open source and from Cisco. Those don't go together, but it seems we've been talking about Cisco today. My goal is to set up a T-Rex server so I can create iMix traffic for testing. Preferring Snort because you know the syntax, that's a huge thing. Don't use a product you don't know, especially when they're competing products that have very similar functions. Go with the one you know because you're going to configure it better. What's a good firewall for a large network? I'll say Pfsense. You don't have a central point, but I don't understand central management. You can get one dashboard, but then you still have to drill down to the individual firewall. So what is the central management thing people are looking for? Maybe I'm not understanding what their use case is. Is it just to see, is it the pretty graph thing again? Are you a C-level person that needs pretty graphs, so they need to be on a dashboard graph too? Sorry, I'm picking on people who ask that question, but it gets popped up a lot. I never mass send out firewall rules. Maybe that's why I usually individually customize firewalls. Maybe I'm doing it completely wrong. I won't lie. I could be an idiot. Want to help us stress test a new service provider? Call 309-104 and call the North Pole and talk to Santa. So I'm curious enough to do this. We're gonna listen to Willie. What did Willie say here? Willie said, dial. What's the number here? We're gonna dial it together. 309-571. 1304. We'll put it on speakerphone here. I hope it's nothing profane.
Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the North Pole. Press 1 for Santa. Press 2 for the North Pole weather.
There we go. We called the North Pole for you, Willie. I don't know why we did it, but we did it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, FreeBSD plus Puppet, you could definitely do that. You could use, matter of fact, you can manage, if you feeling froggy, you can use Ansible and SSH to manage Pfsense, because Ansible's supported in FreeBSD, so you could coordinate things on there. Is that something you need to do, I guess, would be like a question about there, so... So that's kind of how that goes as far as that question. Yeah, I wish they gave me $1 every time I said Pfsense. Where the dollars come from is when companies contract us to do large-scale network deployments and network engineering work for things, including, like I was talking about over here, the whole bridging of Pfsense and everything else. That's where the dollars come in. So. And it's not like it's just Pfsense support. It's usually part of a bigger integrated project. So we've actually done data center level projects. We've done all kinds. Matter of fact, I won't say it because I don't know if he honestly have public knowledge. But one of my friends I know from my YouTube channel, he asked me some questions in TechFriend, and they're deploying some HA Pfsense there and buying some NetGates and putting them in for a large data center project they're doing, all because he watched some of my videos, did some consulting, and away we go. So that's definitely pretty cool. Oh, yeah, look at these Suricata alerts. These are from that bridging. Notice how it says, notice on Catwalk, opt2 and Catwalk. You're seeing all these notices. This is from that bridging because the Suricata, in this case, was to set up the bridge. Just what I started to talk about when I was babbling on about this earlier. I don't know, maybe I'll do a video on this and dive into and talk about it. And by the way, if you didn't know what this website is, this is a fun website. It's called Test My IDS. Actually, whoops, yeah, testmyids.com. And let me pull this out. This is the all that website has on it is this right here, and it'll get flagged in your IDS system for being some type of privilege escalation. So. That's what, and this is what the policy looks like. It is ET policy, curl user agent outbound, info base over DNS cloud. Actually, no, this is a different error, but you get a similar error like this. So pretty simple. Something fun to play with. Something more to play with. I mean, for pushing updates or changes, I guess if you wanted to do it through one interface, but you kind of have to schedule it with your clients to push updates to their firewalls. So logging into each of them, we have them on lists, like we have them on the Zabbix dashboards, and so we have them, but we still log into them individually. Like I said, if I felt really great, I could do it. But my problem is when you centralize power, you also centralize the possible distribution of problems, especially when it's at the firewall level. But then again, I do manage quite a few things when it comes to like updating mass quantities of UniFi devices. We like them in our dashboard for that, so I'll admit that's definitely handy. But pushing updates to things like the USG through the dashboard, these are the only devices we've ever seen have some hiccups on the updates. So our process for updating firewalls, like even a Pfsense one, is usually grab the backup file. We usually have it, but just before we do the update, grab the backup file, have it ready to be loaded, and make sure we have a matching firewall in stock. As in, if I'm going to update an SG3100, I need to have an SG3100 or equivalent in stock, and I will, at the ready, if the update goes wrong, be able to push that data back to a firewall in stock and then go out there to the client and swap it out. So we have to have a plan in place before we just do updates on firmware. Now, this is one of the reasons we buy the Netgate devices, is to mitigate the fact that, we don't want firewalls to go wonky when we update them. And using Netgate hardware means I have the highest likely of compatibility and not having said problems. So that's definitely a thing. So I try to mitigate all the problems. Let's see. Is it typical to force all traffic over a VPN to the host VPN, including normal internet? It's atypical. I'm going to say you don't always want to do that. For example, we have site-to-site remote clients, and they don't necessarily want all traffic coming to the head end because, well, that becomes at the expense of more data going across the VPN, which may be more limited in speed compared to their general internet speed. And because you're adding more hops, it has to hop through the hops to get to the VPN and then out and then back to wherever they're trying to go. You add latency to there, so you kind of slow down their internet experience. Generally speaking, you only use the VPN for resources needed to be reached across the VPN. But there's exceptions to that. There's people who say, I want all my internet to come out of one IP address. For example, we have a medical company. That is the requirement, that their applications for the remote users have to come out of that IP address because it's the only one authorized. So their VPN does force all the traffic. But they're also doctors. They're not supposed to be surfing the net or anything, so they're not worried about it. And it's the only way the application will work is through the whitelisted VPN. For us, very similar. If I am a remote worker, when I'm at home, I VPN back to the office, and then I also have it routed so all my traffic goes back out through my office IP because all of our tools, SolarWinds included, are IP restricted to only be allowed from our office for access. So in that case, you do it. There's not much you have to do in OpenVPN to get it to work. There's just a checkbox that says route the traffic, and then that's it. That allows the traffic to be routed, and I think I've covered it in my OpenVPN videos, but I need to do a 2020 version of all the videos. I'm going to update some of them just so I can add the word 2020 to them because people search that term, and that way it's actually part of it. This is the 2020 video on how to do a thing that I showed you how to do in 2018. What else do we have here? I'm going to be jumping off here in a minute. What is my thought on Dahua cameras? I guess they're okay. Do I use bright gauge? Nope. I've heard of it, not used it. Yeah, there is the risk of centralizing a point of attack, so it is an issue. Have I compared it to another wireless router? It's still using UniFi. The Wi-Fi seems great, and I've tried to do Wi-Fi testing. I have 4 hours into in-depth Wi-Fi testing only to decide Wi-Fi is goddamn magic. And I say that because it was so aggravated. One of the challenges we had with Wi-Fi, and anyone who's a Wi-Fi engineer, and this comes back to the Wi-Fi 6 question, we had 2 Wi-Fi devices. One was a UniFi HD, one was the Nano. And we're doing speed tests. We put little pieces of tape on tables in the office, and we would set the laptop on the corner, run the speed test, move it to the other corner, run the speed test. And we'd do these, a cycle of 10 tests here, 10 tests there. Then we'd unplug one, unplug the other, and they're sitting next to each other, but we were only turning them on one at a time to eliminate interference. Run the tests again, and then we get different results again. And one of the ways that we found that absolutely puzzled me, that I want to do a video on at some point, we don't know why, but when the laptop's here, the Wi-Fi device is here, but someone else is on the other side, not in between the Wi-Fi device, them standing on the other side kept skewing the results. And we don't know why. So we've learned it's really, really hard to test Wi-Fi unless you have a Faraday cage. That's kind of the answer. So I don't think I could give you honest and accurate tests. I can give you as best as I've come up with tests. And I've done some testing and talked about it, and I'm going to do some more. But Wi-Fi, it has a lot of, it's wireless. Waves bend easy and are deflected and interfered with by things. So Yeah, AP is a Cat 5 cable. Yes. Did I miss a video on a Reolink camera system? I don't know. Type in Reolink. I can't remember. I think I've done at least one. I can't remember. Probably. I got more I'm doing. I'm working on one Friday. Friday I have to be on site. I don't know if you can get a video out Friday, so. Well, no. Wi-Fi is as fast as the slowest device on a network. Yes, no, that depends. That depends as well. I think I have an explainer video on that topic as well. It's as fast as a slice that it gets on, but it doesn't slow down the entire network because of the way there's multiple devices essentially in here. So you see a Wi-Fi signal, there's actually a multiple of antennas, so it's time division slicing, if I'm not mistaken, is the term it uses. I think I have a video on how that works. So there's so many more factors. And when we were doing our testing, we set up a network and only connected one device to it and still got crazy results that were, only thing connected was my laptop. So it was a laptop and a Wi-Fi device that we created called Wi-Fi Test 1 and Wi-Fi Test 2 and no other devices attached to it. So this results, time division multiplexing, yeah. So you can see that there's some issues, it's waves, and it's radio waves, and they are subject to interference by other radio waves. You need a Faraday cage to eliminate that kind of variances. That's the only way to do it. Yeah, misspoke, slowest on the slice. Exactly. It's the thing is, that's the thing. Wi-Fi is actually in some ways a lot more complicated than network cables. And by the way, and I say complicated, I have an hour video with the guy who sets the standards. I love that interview I did with him. It was great. I should just bring him up again. The guy he actually works on the committee that decides the standards. It's a great video diving into that, and go on my channel, type in Cat 7, because he answers the Cat 7 question, which is also great. As complicated as these are, the Wi-Fi has more complexities. It's not a simple, it's an even more complicated formula than these. It's not insurmountable. It's just there's a lot of variables. So hopefully that clarifies at least some of that. 10 gig over Cat 5e short distance. Yeah, it works. I'm running 10 gig flawlessly over Cat 5e because we plugged in my 10 gig card and we decided it's plugged into a UniFi 10 gig switch and it works great. I don't have any problems with it. We were going to replace my cable in the wall if we needed to, but we didn't because it works fine with no errors. I transfer 10 gig all day. Can you make a tutorial about setting up IP? Nope, I will never make a tutorial on setting up IP. Oh, I can't say never. I'm not going to in any near future. I am not an IPv6 expert. So I don't really need to do a video on it because I just don't feel like I don't have the market demand for it. Other than people asking me, which almost always is a home user, I have zero corporate clients and therefore zero demand for me to really sit down and learn it. One day I will. One day I'll be forced into it, but that's not today and not tomorrow. Cat 6 is a joke. Cat 6 is not a joke. There is a legitimate difference between Cat 6. And we actually, in that video, we break down the differences between the Cat 5e, Cat 6, and Cat 8 standards, and also Cat 6a standard. There are differences electrically between them for what they can and can't do. So, matter of fact, 10 gig isn't the problem with Cat 6. We've actually, HDMI extenders are where we've had to use Cat 6. So there's a couple devices that as a transport layer, not as an IP. They're just using the physical medium. We've had these devices we were installing at a dealership to get the multiplexer to work. So it was an HDMI multiplexer that used standard Cat 6 for termination. We played around with this because we thought it was an odd requirement that specifically it requested Cat 6. We tried Cat 5, it drops a signal. Plug in a Cat 6, signal doesn't drop. So it does use the full bandwidth of the Cat 6. They're able to handle a greater range of megahertz in order to do it. So it's definitely they are electrically different. So that is, it is one of those things like Cat 6 is not necessarily a gimmick, but Is it necessary? Probably not. Most people don't need it. Matter of fact, because, and we covered this in that video where we break down with the engineer of the overhead of like when they certify a cable versus what the cable's actually capable of. That's why 10 gig works. So the overhead on a short run of Cat 5, there's enough overhead in Cat 5 for loss and interference that the 10 gig still works. But that starts falling apart if you try to do distance. So Cat 6 will go a greater distance with 10 gig than a Cat 5 will. And Cat 6A, the enhanced standard, will go a greater distance again. It'll go full length of cable, 100 meters roughly, with a full 10 gig transfer. And most people, not everyone needs to go 100 meters, but if you do, you're going to want to use Cat 6A to do it properly without a lot of problems. Yeah, Cat 6 has better crosstalk cancellation capabilities is a good way to say it. So, all right, well, I have to run. It is 5:24. Monoprice Cat 6 versus other Cat 6. As long as they're certified, you're good. Don't get copper-clad aluminum. That's the goal. Never buy the CCA cable. Don't buy the crap. So buy real Cat 6, real copper Cat 6. And smash the like button before you buy it. And buy it off our affiliate link. You know, throw money at me. Helps the channel. Helps me keep creating content. Yeah, but Cat 7 doesn't exist here in the US, and that's, if you type in my channel, Cat 7, there's a story of why Cat 7's not real here in the US, but is real elsewhere. Think about that. And, yeah. We like Monoprice. Monoprice, I think Cable Matters, both make some pretty good stuff. We've used both of them. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for those of you that smashed the like button, and maybe smash it later after you're watching this in post. But I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to a Chamber of Commerce event so we can drum up more business and sell more things and make more money and, do that aspect of the business now. All right, and I'm out. Thank you. Oh, join the forums. They're not toxic, for those of you who are wondering. If you're toxic, don't join the forums. If you keep getting kicked out of forums because they're toxic, think about that. You might be the toxic one. So if you're toxic, don't join. But if you are not toxic, please join our forums. They're very helpful to both me because I answer a lot of questions and many other people. There's been a great community on there of awesome people who answer a lot of questions and help come up with ideas for videos and everything else. So that's why I like the forums. And if you want, once a week I check the Discord. So send something in there. Maybe I'll reply within a week. And I believe there's a link below for that. So awesome. Forums are linked under every video and on our website, and I tweet them. If that's not enough, I'm not sure where else to put them. So the forums are always in the doobly-doo below, and I massively uploaded all the descriptions of 900 videos to have all the forum links in it. So hopefully that helps. And I have a video about the software I'm running for forums. So I've covered this as much as possible. Thanks. Links below for Discord channels and forums.